All right, welcome back to the Remedial Film Class podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
And poor George has never learned the art of movie watching. At least, not yet. So, this week, George, we are going to have you watch the classic early 90s hit, Clerks.
Kevin Smith.
Yes.
Kevin Smith. Now, do you know anything about the movie Clerks? Do you have any recollection or relationship with it?
I know a tad. I had a good friend in college who was a big fan of the movie. So there were some lines that he would always repeat. I know it takes place in New Jersey, which is where I'm from, which is cool.
Hitting close to home, man.
Yeah, but as far as like the plot of the movie, I think that my friend from college tried to show me the movie at one point, but we were also partying, so I couldn't tell you what the plot is. So
I'm noticing a trend as we go through this movie.
Yeah, that I tried and failed before.
You know, I feel like the alcohol might be inhibiting your attention span.
It certainly did. It certainly did. I was much more concerned with the guitar at that point. Like we would put on a movie, and it would be on in the living room, and then I would be playing the guitar, and he would literally be playing the drums, and we'd watch a movie and play and drink, and I never got anything out of any of these movies.
No closed captions to keep your eye on the dialogue?
I remember watching Inglourious Bastards, and I couldn't even read it. Like, it was too blurry.
Now, is that the Enzo Castellari classic or the Quentin Tarantino one?
Tarantino. Yeah, I remember watching
Missed opportunity.
Yep. And I was like, I don't even know what's going on.
He didn't know he needed the class then.
I can't read the words.
Oh, man. Well, heck, what do you say we get to it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ring the bell.
All right, let's get to work. All right, we're back, George. How about that Clerks? Kevin Smith, all those things.
How about it? How about it? Like,
all right, hit me with your first impression. Is this a one that you loved from the get-go, or is this one that we're gonna have to beat over your head until you love it?
I think you're gonna have to beat it over my head.
Get this man to the stocks.
Yeah, and I hate to do that to you because I know how much you like this movie, but I don't know, man. It was, you know, I think I have a theory about this movie.
Oh yeah.
Remember I told you about my friend who I used to hang out with loved the movie?
Yeah. You mentioned that last week.
Quoted all the time, blah, blah, blah.
He
was from Virginia. Okay. From Fredericksburg.
Oh.
And Dan, you're from Kansas City, right?
Yes, sir.
You're just from the Midwest.
Go Chiefs.
So I think that when someone outside of New Jersey watches the movie, they think differently about it than someone who lives and grew up in New Jersey. Maybe.
Well,
maybe they see themselves in the characters and they say, "Oh, I belong in New Jersey."
I honestly don't see much New Jersey about it. I mean, technically,
that's what I'm saying. Like maybe
there's
if you
nothing
live
New
in
Jersey about that movie.
Yeah, maybe if you live in New Jersey, you're like,
yeah,
okay.
It's
counter theory. George, are you ashamed of New Jersey?
God, no.
Because it would seem to me that if I don't really tag it as like a Jersey thing, except that I know it's filmed in Jersey,
right.
And Travis, who's from Jersey, doesn't think it's that Jersey at all, maybe what you're seeing is just your own reflection,
Your hatred.
wishing you were anywhere else.
Maybe in Delaware. Hey, look, we're in Delaware.
That's possible. It's possible. And to be fair, this is Kevin Smith is, I don't know where he's from, but isn't this like a North Jersey, like a
He's
Red
from
Bank?
Red Bank area.
Okay.
So
I didn't grow up in North Jersey. No. They're when they're playing hockey, they all have Devils jerseys. I live in a suburb of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, you got the Flyers, which is almost as big as the Devils. I would say even bigger.
Right, but I don't. That's to me. The Jersey Devils are a New York team.
Right.
Like they're like the Giants in football.
Well, to me, since you brought it up, and Dan doesn't feel this because he doesn't live here, but New Jersey should be 2 separate states. You go along the Cumberland County border, and you go that and north. That's basically a suburb of New York City.
Right, exactly.
And then below Cumberland County is South Jersey.
So that explains why maybe you, Travis, think it doesn't really represent New Jersey at all.
It doesn't for me.
Because it doesn't represent
Right.
South Jersey, I don't think.
This movie's supposed to be my wheelhouse. I'm 45. I'm the same age as Kevin Smith. That movie is supposed to be my... Well, no, he's a little older than me. He's like 50. But the generation in that movie is supposed to be Generation X, which I'm the tail end of.
Right.
I don't have that connection to that movie like most Gen Xers do. I look at more like an Empire Records type movie, PCU. I have more of a connection to that for my generation.
Okay.
But yeah, it definitely has a North Jersey feel to it that I was not really connecting to as a Jersey film.
Okay. So to your theory, Dan, am I ashamed of New Jersey? No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so because I am ashamed of North Jersey. That's
Aren't
for
we all?
That's for
no,
sure.
we're not. Just in case you have any listeners in North Jersey, we
Yeah,
love you.
all 3 of you.
All 3 of you.
I get the sense, George, that really deep down, you're not a New Jersey guy. You're a Philly guy. And this movie's to New York.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
Like,
Am I
we could-
reading that right from my Midwestern perspective?
Where we grew up, where George lives, where I live, if you level all the houses and trees, you can basically see the windows of Center City, Philadelphia. That's how much of a suburb of Philly we are.
Yeah, I literally, I manage a property. It's 8 stories, right? When I
Right.
stand on the roof, I can see the Philly skyline.
Right.
It's that close.
So what you're saying is
We're on
you
the
live
Delaware.
in the East St. Louis of Philadelphia.
I guess.
The Kansas City,
Yes.
Kansas
Yes.
of Philadelphia.
We're like on
Yeah.
the if you look at New Jersey, and it's like my dad used to tell me, it kind of looks like a mailman on his knees sitting like in a crouching position.
I'm not digging into that one.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, like, we live in the kneecap area of New Jersey. We're not in the head. Like when we used to drive the New York state, or we drive to Connecticut, my dad would say, I would say, where are we? And he'd say, oh, we're like in the neck,
Okay.
or we're in the ear area, or
Okay.
we're in the
there's,
head.
There's way
We're
too
nowhere
much
near that.
geography going on in this podcast.
This has more maps than
Well, I'm
I
trying
ever
to.
thought we would have in a Clerks podcast. But
I
I'm
think
digging
because
it.
I'm trying to say this because I kind of agree with George.
Yeah, it's
Jersey bias.
it's
But my issues aren't really have anything to do with that. So we'll get into my issues later once he's done recapping.
There's room on the couch for you too, Travis.
Yes.
okay. So let me just also backtrack a little bit. Not really backtrack, but say I don't like. I don't want to say I don't like, but like I am ashamed of North Jersey. Okay. Don't like North Jersey. Don't really care for New York, but I do love the Northeast. I
Yes.
love the way people are. They don't care if they hurt
Blunt.
your feelings
Yep.
in the Northeast. We're very direct. There's very little small talk. And I guess to everyone else in every other part of the country, that would sound like rude or sound like, why would you ever want to live there?
Right.
But, for a person like me, generally introverted, and also we're all super busy too. So like, I don't have
not
time.
Dante.
Yeah, well, yeah. But like, I don't have, I don't care about your feelings, dude. What do you need from me? Okay, good. But bye. That is how we deal with each other in the Northeast. And I like that.
Well, this movie's definitely blunt.
Yes. The character that I identify most with is Randall.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
He might be from South Jersey.
he might be. Like, Dante was, I think, okay, so the whole thing is he is a pushover and in kind of, in some ways, a company man. And, and if you are that way in this,
Environment.
in this region,
Mm-hmm.
you will get steamrolled. That's just the way it is. And he let himself through the entire movie get steamrolled. So that was accurate. But and I have smoked many a cigarette outside of a convenience store.
Yes, that I can relate to by going to Wawa's in our area.
Yeah.
You see that, you see the 35-year-old guy out there hanging out. You see the 90-year-old guy hanging out there. They're all smoking cigarettes and they're all talking about whatever. So that's not just that region. That's pretty much all of us.
And it's not like, in the New York area where there's so many people on the street. In New Jersey, it's not as densely populated, but you still have, when you have people hanging out outside a convenience store smoking, it is just like two people.
Yeah.
It's not like a whole crowd. It's not people coming and going all the time. It's just, there's not a lot going on, and, you're just smoking a cigarette outside a convenience store.
So basically you're saying Jersey combines the loneliness of the Midwest with the blunt, what's a nice way to say, bunch of a-hole activity.
We'll say
from
honest,
the
not
Northeast.
a-hole. Just honesty. Like that's what I get from these characters. They're all completely and totally unfiltered and honest. And that I'm used to.
Most of them.
Well, most of them.
Most of them. Dante holds back a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why he's at such a disadvantage to the entire movie, being surrounded by everyone he's surrounded by. But all in all, like the movie itself, it didn't have like a really great plot.
It didn't have a plot.
And it was like really, I don't want to say terribly shot. It was just the acting was terrible. Like everything about it was terrible, and I'm watching it thinking of RoboCop. Like, is this satire? Is it? It's got to be satire. But then I'm like, or maybe it's just a crappy movie. I don't know. So you guys are gonna have to, yeah. Well, at least you,
George.
Dan, you're gonna have to work on me on this.
All right, have a seat, George, on the couch. Lay back and close your eyes. I want you to think about something. Take yourself back to 1994, okay? Now, I'm like 8 or 9 years old, depending on what time of year it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to Green Day on the radio because
Mhm.
I don't have a CD player because those things are expensive.
Making mixtapes.
I'm sneaking over to my neighbor's house to watch the Soundgarden video for Black Hole Sun on MTV because I'm not allowed to watch MTV. But I don't have the wherewithal to get a videotape over and videotape it, so I have to keep going over to the neighbor's house and trying to time it to where I can see these cool new music videos from these cool new bands.
Okay.
Okay, now imagine trying to make your own movie in 1994.
Okay.
Here's the thing. If you have access to money, you can rent a 35mm camera. You can pay a lighting crew out of your own pocket. Or you can get producers on board. But what if you're literally working in a convenience store, you've dropped out of film school, so you've got some ability, but no resources, and you decide to throw all the money you have in the world, including the credit on your credit cards and money given to you by an insurance company because your car was flooded out, and you put all that money and all that credit into producing a movie without any access to digital technology, actors, editors, or anyone besides your friends from film school and your buddies from high school.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to make a better movie than Clerks?
Probably not.
I rest my case. Your Honor?
It does not fit. You must acquit.
I think, was that 93? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, same era.
Let's roll with it.
All right, Judge Ono. He's on board. So
That's funny. Well, yeah, it was like $27,000. I think was the budget between like 4 or 5 credit cards and the insurance money, and then he sold all his comics.
And he shot on black and white to save money.
Right, and he worked
and he
in
shot
that
at
store.
the convenience store that he worked at because the owners were cool, and we're just like, yeah, man, you can shoot after we close.
That to me is all good. I've seen many independent films. I mean, John Carpenter did the same thing with Halloween, but he had a little bit more money.
And he had more money in 1970s dollars. So I mean,
True,
you're talking like 20 times the budget.
When I think of the this movie, and my biggest problem with this movie is the acting, and that's my curse. That's my kryptonite. When if I'm watching the greatest script ever, and it's acted terribly, they lose me. So I drive my wife nuts constantly when she's watching something, and I'm like, oh my God, like seriously. Because I've taken classes, I've learned the process, I've learned about doing your homework and method, not method, all these different things. And these people in this movie were theater actors. Some of them were friends, but I mean, the two main characters were theater actors. So I was giving them a little bit less leeway because they are theater actors. Now, probably community theater, but still, I was just not feeling the dialogue. And it probably was, maybe if I read it, I might feel it better. But when I was listening to the delivery, I'm just like, oh my God, like seriously, it sounds like robotic. And there was lack of inflection. There was lack of punctuation of words.
There were times when the actor would say a word and use, like the accent on the wrong syllable, and I can't think of it like an example, but I'm watching it. I remember them saying a word, and I was like, that's like they just didn't pronounce it right.
Right.
Like, why did we use that take?
I think that falls into the line of, you got it on film, you spent money on that film, and you just have to grin and bear it.
Okay.
For me, it's like if you and I are having a conversation like that, and they lost me very early, like that conversation that he was having with his girlfriend. There's some good stuff
when they were
in there.
behind the counter?
Yeah.
I love that.
There's good stuff in there.
That's like the best
but it was
part.
just like it was just monotoned.
When they were behind the counter, I kind of like that. I did.
No, that's fine.
Disagreement.
Because they're developing him as
a whiny little.
Not a whiny
he
little,
was whiny.
but just someone who's just like, I'm where I'm at, and I'm just gonna stay here forever. And he's painting
That's
her
fine.
nails, and they're having a conversation, and he's not getting, excited about anything, and they're just establishing that.
You can do that with good acting.
Okay.
You can definitely do that with good acting. They were reading lines back and forth, and that to me
One thing, guys,
distracted me.
Have either of you ever worked in the convenience store industry?
I have not worked in a convenience store, but I've worked in retail and I've worked in management of a movie theater. So
Nope. Different world.
okay.
I am from the school of hard knocks as far as these convenience stores go. That was actually my first job, was with a very well-established Midwestern chain, comparable to your Wawa's, but
Right.
like way better. But I'm not here to just
Slow
blow
down.
Quick Trip.
Slow your
doubt
roll.
it, but
Tell ya.
okay.
Nothing's better than
No,
Wawa.
Quick Trip is the company that has to they have to fake out their competition as far as real estate development and scouting, because everyone is afraid of how they saturate the market. And so when they went to Atlanta, they had to scout like North Carolina so that the Texacos and those guys would buy up all the property in North Carolina to prevent them from going there. But then they faked them out and actually went to Atlanta. And yeah, once they get
Okay.
there, that's the only convenience store you want, because they have everything and they have good corporate standards.
That sounds like Wawa.
Anyway, like I said, I'm not here to just like go down on Quick Trip for the next 20 minutes, but I will, because I love their taquitos.
37 times.
I love how
37, 38 times, yeah.
I love how much oral is in this movie. It's that is very
And
New
it's-
Jersey.
It's pre-Clinton scandal, so that was not
Yeah.
a mainstream discussion yet, which for the
I think
kids
it has more to do
listening
with.
are just like,
it has-
oh, haven't we always done this? But no, not in the 90s,
No.
man.
I think it has more to do with Kevin Smith's obsession with blowjobs
Yeah.
than Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
I think it's
No,
yeah.
but we were talking before we started recording about, being in another place and them telling you that, oh, we don't do it like that here. And what was my reply? I'm sorry, well, suck my dick. Like,
Right.
that's,
blow me.
yeah, exactly. That's what we, I love that, dude. Like like Jay and Silent Bob, and when, Jay goes down on Bob, like kind of faking,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, that was funny. That was funny. And the leaving
I don't
the
think
convenience
South
store.
Jersey is as different from North Jersey as you think it is.
I've known people like Jay. Like I've was friends with Jays.
They're all over the place.
They are everywhere.
And I know a lot of Randalls too.
Yeah.
A ton of them. And when she leaves after the 37 discussion, try not to suck anyone's dick on the way to the car.
Well, and then that guy turns around and follows her out.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, man.
But you know what? Here's the thing. I think in every friendship, as a power dynamic, you can identify, this would be hetero male friendships. You can identify who is the Randall and who is the Dante. And you can probably also identify who is the Bob and who is the Jay. And you're not always going to be a Jay or a Bob. And you're not always going to be a Randall or a Dante. But you can really learn a lot about how you interact with somebody else when you figure out which one you are and which one they are.
It's purgatory. That's what the whole thing's about. I mean, he's being punished. He feels like he's being punished for his life, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I'll tell you, man, the shifts you work in that industry and the monotony and the customer rhythm, it's not a life I could do. Like, they pay you well at some of those, and the corporate structure is great, and you get great benefits, but God, your soul is just ground into, fine ground coffee grounds. It's
all
miserable.
That shit came through in the writing, but I just wish it was acted better. And I know
so let me ask you,
financially,
Travis.
Yes.
I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask you on the air. Not that I've asked you before, but I can tell. How do you feel about American treasure Bob Dylan?
How do I feel? I think he's an amazing songwriter, but I think he's not a very good singer.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say that because you're describing the same thing where, like, performance is like your metric.
Yeah. Well,
and see, that's the thing, man. I guess I'm just anymore. Maybe it's because I'm a terrible singer, but I've always been the lyrics guy.
Right.
And so for me, these Kevin Smith movies, the early ones, like, I overlook the acting. Like, I don't expect anything from the actors because the dialogue is so well put together and the rhythm of the dialogue is so good, even if the performance of it, it's not professional actors.
Right.
But I think if it was professional actors, I think it would lose its punch.
I think that depends because I've been involved in a lot of like improv groups and on stage with people that are off-Broadway type actors. I love watching the things on YouTube where they show you the script scrolling at the bottom and then they show you the scene happening above it, and you get to see what the actor's doing with these written words. The great actors, they're doing shit that's not even on that page, and they're saying the word yes. It just says yes on the page, and the way they're saying yes, you feel whatever it is.
Whatever emotion
the
is
gravity,
behind the yes.
The emotion, the 10 years of working in a convenience store from just that one yes. And yeah, that's not going to be in a movie like this, but that's what was distracting me. Because I was hearing the words, and I'm like, oh, that's a great line. And it was just thrown away. And when you hear a throwaway line, that's fine. But when you hear every line is being thrown away, and you're like, oh, man, that bothered me. And I could be just being anal about it, but that's what bothered me about watching the movie. So I'm telling you, the dialogue is there, and maybe in the hands of somebody else.
I think that was done purposely. Every line being a throwaway. Like Randall's character was, portrayed as being like pretty smart. He had a really good vocabulary. Mm-hmm. He had his positions pretty much well thought out.
And he was renting videos of all of them.
Can we just talk about the one part of the movie that made me laugh out loud, and I forgot about it, and it fucking floored me. When the lady asks for this child's movie, and then he runs off a list of the worst porn names ever, and then he says, "Oh, what was that movie you were looking for?" Like, that was hilarious. But you almost missed that last line because it wasn't thought out to deliver that as a punctual. Oh, because it's a kid's
right.
It's a kid's movie.
And what I'm saying is it's supposed to be that way.
Wow.
And see, I've never had a problem with that delivery. Like, that is the crux of that scene for me is, he just no nonsense at the end. Oh, and hey, I forgot. What is it you wanted? Oh, is the Happy Smile Patrol 2.
The delivery was fine. I think that the quick rattling off of lines, you do miss things.
Keep up, motherfucker.
Yeah, keep up.
no.
I did think that was very New Jersey. Like, okay, you need something. All right, I'm gonna do what I was here to do in the first place, and then I'll get to you.
Yeah, he does that to a couple people.
Yes, that is definitely a Jersey thing.
No, that's fine. I enjoy the writing,
especially if you're rude. Like if you come up and you're like entitled, like the lady was like, they tell you all these things, but they don't tell you if the movie's good. Like, is this good? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I try not to get in other people's business. Like that is such a New Jersey thing.
It's so good. The best line in the video store though is the Navy SEALs guy. Like he has ruined that entire outfit for me because anytime they come up in the news, I turn to my wife and I'm like, ooh, Navy SEALs. That's a good delivery from an amateur actor.
Yeah.
He got one line and he nailed it.
Yeah.
See, now, one thing that you said you didn't like the character development. I think the way that he presents these little side characters, right? These nameless, played by the same four guys over and over again, side characters. He develops their kind of niche so quickly with their actions. Like, there's no delay, right?
Right.
You don't have 10 seconds even to think like, oh, what's this guy's deal? Is he going to be, oh, he's just a guy. Oh, he's the guy. No, it's egg guy, right? Oh, it's cigarette company or chewing gum company guy,
yeah.
right? So good. He uses his time with these characters efficiently.
I didn't have a problem with the smaller characters. It was basically the tennis volley of lines between Dante and Veronica. I didn't mind it so much with Dante and Randall, although I think that conversation about Star Wars and all that stuff, it could have been better with inflection of certain things, like a reaction. It just sounded like they were reading, and which is fine. I know they're pressed for time.
But here's
you
the
said
thing.
it when we started. The acting was terrible. You said it.
It was.
Okay, so don't start fighting
George
with me.
said it, not Dan.
It
Dan
was.
loves the acting.
No, I know Dan loves the acting.
It was, but
Dan thinks it's great.
I think that the acting was terrible, but I think that when they're having those lines back and forth, and it's quick, and you feel like they're throwing every line away. I think that that's the way it's supposed to be between, at least between Dante and Randall. It's supposed to be that way because they spend so much time together.
That's
right,
fine.
they're co-workers, not actors, man. So here's the thing. Travis, have you ever heard, excepting the Jimi Hendrix cover of All Along the Watchtower,
Okay.
have you ever heard a cover of a Bob Dylan song that was actually better than the Bob Dylan performance of the same song? Same thing with like Warren Zevon. I don't know if you're a big Warren Zevon guy, but you should be, and you will be by the end of this podcast.
No, I believe there are people that cover songs that do a better job, and then you
But
hear the
can you think of
original, and
one?
you're like,
Can
wow,
you
that's
think of
awesome too.
one?
Can you think of one
'Cause
for Bob Dylan?
That's the thing. Like, can you think of an actor that would have improved these lines? You know,
I could have improved these lines.
if you think about the guy who yells as she's leaving, try not to suck any dick on the way to the parking lot, right? I mean, I'm trying to think of like Leonardo DiCaprio's delivery and why it would be better, and it would be more pensive.
You don't need
Leo. And he'd think about it a lot more. But it's like he just, his rhythm, his cadence may not be right, and it's like,
I know
rhythm
4
and
people
cadence, man.
that I could drive to their house right now that could deliver those lines better.
That sounds like a challenge.
I'm honestly thinking about taking on a couple of those scenes with a couple friends and see if I can do it.
That would be fun.
I'm not cutting this out.
I know.
You're doing this.
I'm thinking
this
about
is
it.
your thing.
Don't think
Just
about
so
it.
I can prove it.
Don't think about it. Do it.
And there's a lot of actors that would tell you, yeah, those lines are the worst delivered lines. Great dialogue, the worst delivered lines I've ever heard.
All right, so you're gonna redo a couple of scenes from this movie.
I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna try it.
No, you're gonna do it. Like
No,
Dan
you're
said.
doing it. It's in the audio now.
What's his budget?
I think Kevin Smith could probably do a better job now if he took the same actors because he's seasoned now.
All right.
And
so
well,
we got to
understands.
watch Clerks 2 next, is what you're saying.
yeah.
I mean,
I love
it's still
Clerks too,
mindless
man.
humor. It's mindless. You're not gonna ever take Jason Mewes and tell him to do some method.
You could argue that the Jay of all of them was actually the most method.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, because he was probably high as
And
shit, and he was
maybe
probably
the
blowing
most
people on the side.
Jay and Bob were fantastic. They were the best actors in the whole movie. That's why they got their own movie.
It's not saying much. The guy who didn't talk was the best actor in the show. I hear you. I agree.
Oh man.
He's like having Jim Carrey on the set. You don't know what he's gonna do. You can't. He's like trying to herd cats. You're just gonna turn the camera on, let him do his thing, and then make the movie in editing. That's basically what Kevin Smith was thinking. I'm gonna get my friends. They're gonna do all this shit. I'm gonna put it on film, and then I'll edit out the stuff I can't use. That worked with his friends. Like I think Walt Flanagan was in there a bunch, and a couple other people that he's grown up with. So those little bit parts, that's fine. It didn't bother me. It just basically with those 4 main characters. And I think the Randall character is great. And like I said, I was him. I've known people like him. I just watched some of his lines. I'm like, oh my God, that would have been so much better.
All right, let's get off the acting.
Okay, we'll get off.
I want to ask you guys, when you first saw this movie, did you guys forget about the guy in the bathroom?
No.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
You didn't forget about
That's
the guy in the
whole
bathroom, Trav?
Well,
The first time you watched it?
Go back to 1995 when
Yeah, I
you see
probably
this on
didn't even notice
VHS from Blockbuster.
I don't think I even noticed it.
Oh my God.
Rented from Earl's or West Coast Video.
I was like, oh yeah, he was still in there, wasn't he?
God, whatever happened to that old guy? Oh,
Does he still have a bone?
That's another thing too, because they do wrap up every customer that comes in the store. Like they throughout
They
the
wrap
whole
him
movie.
Up, don't they?
No,
I bet
yeah,
they,
well,
I
yeah,
bet
they
you
do.
wish they did.
But
Oh.
but you see every customer ring up and leave. Even if you don't see him come in, you see him leave, and you never saw him leave, and you didn't realize that he didn't until it was too late. Oh God, that was so funny when they were they're putting him in the ambulance. They put the sheet over him, and he's just like pitching a big old tent.
He was hung like a horse. That's like they put a baseball bat underneath that sheet.
Oh
that was
my
total
God.
disregard for any realism.
That was terrible. Oh my God, that was funny.
Then again, maybe I'm speaking for myself. Just saying.
What else you got?
Yeah, but they made necrophilia funny.
Yeah.
They made rape funny. Like they made a joke about rape.
Did they?
And it was kind of
funny.
funny.
They said, he raped Caitlin, and he's like, she said that she did all the work.
Yeah, she did all the work. So yeah, they successfully. It's funny. I laughed a lot.
Yeah,
but I did groan a lot too.
It's a critical darling too. I mean, this is a movie that not only established him as a viable filmmaker who could make real Hollywood movies, but I mean, his relationship with the MPAA, I can't think of anyone else except maybe Tarantino that gets away with X-rated level stuff. Now, mostly it's dialogue, but X-rated stuff, and they just leave the R rating. He doesn't
Is it because
seem to
he
have to
keeps
fight
it
for it.
Just wording? He doesn't do anything visual or...
Have you seen Clerks 2?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah.
We gotta watch
nudity
Clerks 2 at some point. That movie, it may be better than this one, even dialogue-wise. I know the acting's better, but...
I was looking through my DVDs and I found my Clerks 2, and it's signed by O'Halloran.
What?
It's signed by Brian.
You should tell him how shitty an actor he is.
I probably did. No. I think I bought it signed. I didn't get it signed.
I love that guy, man. Dante as a character, but Brian O'Halloran as an actor is just an everyman in a way that I don't get in a lot of movies. And so but I'm always a Dante, so it's like...
I went to WizardCon in Philly, the Wizard Comic-Con, and O'Halloran was there running the booth, and he was selling comics and other stuff. Like he was just hanging out. Like he wasn't a celebrity guest. He was just working.
Oh.
And I think Kevin Smith came by and talked to him. I did see him. So apparently he's... I don't know what he's doing, but he's not acting anymore.
Just a regular dude.
But he doesn't look much different.
Now, guys, is this the best hockey movie you've ever seen? Because I think it's the best hockey movie I've ever seen.
Slapshot's up there, but...
Full disclosure, I don't like hockey.
I don't know. I think Wayne and Garth did a pretty good job.
Oh, I know. Do you like how we're running these themes through the movies like this? We're like
next
running
Friday
these little
13th.
threads.
Yeah, I mean that apparently they threw the hockey scene in to lengthen the movie. They weren't originally going to do that.
Now, at some point, we are going to make George watch Friday the 13th, the original. And I would say that one of the threads that he will notice is the quality of the New Jersey actors. Like, but these are the northern New Jersey actors, straight out of the New York theater scene. But the acting in the first Friday the 13th is superb. Like, I'm just gonna put that on Front Street for the
Travis is laughing.
for the budget they
I
had.
don't know
They
if he's
have,
being serious or not.
it's so good, man. Those
No, it
guys
is
are
good.
real
It's
characters.
It's way
They're real
better than the
humans.
acting in this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the acting in any of those early 80s Halloween knockoffs is
Yeah.
all garbage. And then Friday the 13th comes along and you're like, oh, wait, these guys are all actually characters.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon. But we can't talk about that now
No,
because
not yet.
we have to watch Halloween first. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, I don't
That's a
know what-
shame. You got me excited about it. I want to watch it.
What, Friday 13th?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys haven't prescribed that already.
Well, I watched a couple horror movies this weekend, and I'm just trying to figure out which ones we're going to throw at you next.
Mm.
So
Ooh.
I'm definitely thinking possibly Texas, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yes.
But we'll see.
That's a good one. The acting's not very good, though.
The acting's great in that movie.
He's pushing up his glasses. The acting, actually,
Actually,
the
listen,
acting's not very good.
you agreed.
No, Texas is good, man.
Yeah, it's good
As long as
shit.
you're talking about the remake, right? We're not talking about the old. I'm just kidding. I'm just
What?
kidding. I actually kind of like the remake of that, but the old one is
Which remake? The 2003
Texas.
remake?
the one with Jessica Biel.
Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah,
Not as good as the original, but
Not,
it's good.
not as good as the original.
Yeah.
Not even close. But
It's doable.
It's serviceable. It brought us a whole new generation of remakes, which George in 10 years will finally get to. But
Yes. So we kind of touched on it, Jay and Silent Bob. So you're going with the effective. They were effective.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Schnoogans.
I did kind of. It's funny seeing it in reverse because you know how big they are now,
Mm-hmm.
and that was their first iteration. So it's like, okay, it's just the beginning of these guys, and then they become like these recurring characters. Now
Yeah.
it's a whole universe, and then they make guest appearances in other movies. To me, they're much better now than
Really?
the original. I think. I mean, they're more hashed out, and they're more.
I think you like polished characters, man. I don't think you
I
like
don't.
them
I don't
rough.
hate them in the movie. I'm just saying, like, it's nice to see how far they've come, and now they're getting like full movies. It's kind of like The Simpsons being the bumper on Tracy Ullman, and then they become the main cartoon.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought they were effective, but again, they stuck out like a sore thumb because of all the other shit that was going on.
Does that make Silent Bob the Lisa Simpson of the Clerks universe?
I think he's the Maggie because he doesn't talk.
Oh,
Mm.
nice.
But
Nice.
when that pacifier comes out, you better listen up. That was funny.
you're
like
not
that,
wrong.
His
You're not
one
wrong.
line is it wraps the whole movie up.
Yeah.
you know? And apparently he wasn't supposed to give that line. It was supposed to be Muse, but Jason couldn't remember his lines. So Silent Bob was silent no more.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sure he won't use that in every appearance hereafter as Silent Bob.
But it's funny because I don't think he
It
even
is.
talks in any of the other movies. That's the only time he talks.
That's crazy.
No, he talks.
Does he
talks
talk?
one. He hits one
Oh.
good line in every movie. Same thing.
Okay.
They hit that same button every time.
Gotcha.
That's
But
crazy.
it's always effective because he writes the movies, so he always gives himself a good line.
Yeah, that's crazy because I thought that when he delivered that line, I was like, oh wow, Silent Bob said something, and it ended up being, the thing that the end kind of hinged on, right? And I absolutely thought that was done purposely.
Well, it was eventually done purposely, but
Well, yeah, but the first time it's like, oh, Jay just couldn't remember the line.
just couldn't remember the line. Couldn't
It's like-
deliver them.
Wow, because that was a really effective way to deliver that
Mhm.
line, especially. I don't know. Yeah,
Well, that's
wow.
the thing I love about Kevin Smith. Like when he does deliver that line, it's like they're all his characters, so he has a lot of heart behind everything he says and does. So
Yeah.
so when you hear him deliver his own lines that he wrote,
Yeah.
obviously he's got way more feeling behind it than Muse, because Muse could give two shits. He just probably wants to buy a hoagie with the money that he's getting.
I would say that this is a movie that you're going to have to see at least 2 more times before it digs its way into your nostalgia room in your heart.
It's got a lot of one-liners or just lines in general that Yeah, like I said, my buddy from Virginia used to quote this constantly.
It's very quotable. It will live in you if you let it. Like it's the one that I first saw it. God, 2002 probably. So 18 years I've been watching this movie, and I don't watch it that often, but those lines are in there, man. That Navy SEALs delivery is just my favorite thing.
Yeah.
And try not to suck any dick on the way to the parking lot. I mean, jeez, how many times do people have to remind me of that?
Oh, dude, my buddy used to, whenever he would see like a girl or two, he'd be like, "Oh, sup, sluts?" Like that would be his thing, and that's like a throwaway line. It's just
Right.
it's just Jay being nuts. Sup, sluts?
Sluts. Gonna fuck some
Yeah.
bitches. It's like,
Would you like to making fuck?
Berserker is something I think about way too often for some reason. I love that one. The Schnoogans and the does this one have the full rap? I don't remember when the rap debuts, but the smoking weed,
I think that's the second one, isn't it?
doing coke, drinking beers. No, it was probably Jay and
No.
Silent Bob Strike
Okay.
Back.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do none of those things. I'm the most teetotaling, boring guy you've ever met. But
Yeah.
that rap is amazing.
No, the rap was in this movie.
Was it?
It was in there, yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
It all runs together. When you see the other ones, which you should as extra credit, watch some of the other movies with these guys in it. The performances are similar enough in tone that sometimes it becomes difficult to pick out when in the timeline certain events occur.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, George, Kevin Smith manages to build a pretty cohesive universe,
Universe, yeah.
pre-Marvel, right?
Mhm.
Of characters within all his movies. There is some weird, an actor might play 2 or 3 characters, but they're distinct enough that you can keep up as to where in the View-esque universe, as they call it, the characters live.
Mhm.
And really, I can tell you, the first 5 or 6 movies he makes are not chores to sit through. Like, they all get easier to watch because they get better budgets and better actors.
More attention to
It's
detail.
There's some good stuff to be had all the way through his catalog up until, the
He-
pot years.
He's not one of the first to do it, pre-Marvel. Apparently, Stephen King has done the same thing. So maybe he took his cue from Stephen King to build that universe that, you have all these movies that could actually be happening at the same time.
Yeah, I definitely have some homework to do.
No, I mean, they're worth seeing. Definitely. Mallrats is definitely a good one.
Okay.
Dogma.
Dogma.
You'll end up going to hell, but Dogma's real good. And then Clerks 2, yeah, I like it better than the first one. A lot of people that are big fans of the first one, so neither of you. But
I like Jay and Silent Bob. I love Mallrats. I love that universe, but I just had issues with this one. That's all. We're
Okay.
good.
But yeah, there's a lot of stalwarts that won't admit it because they like the first one so much. But the second one, it may be the funniest movie I've ever watched. I can remember in particular one time I was showing it to a bunch of friends in our old projector room at the old house. And I had to pee an hour in, but the movie was almost over, so I was going to wait. And I started laughing so hard at a scene that I'd seen 10 times already, to
Oh
where
my gosh.
I was really kind of worried about how that was going to resolve itself. I hadn't laughed that hard. But part of it is, and you'll have to see it when you watch the movie,
Yeah,
There's
let
a
me
scene that-
watch it.
on the face of it is very funny. But then when you think of it from the perspective of the actual characters in the scene, and given what they know and what they are now seeing,
It's even better.
That's funny.
it's next level, man.
Well, I can definitely respect what Kevin Smith was doing back then, in '94. Like you said, you have a shoestring budget. You have a script that you wrote. You're the director. Your friends are in it.
Yeah.
You're filming it at your job. So your main character is you, and when I'm watching it recently, because again it's been 30 years since I've seen it. It reminded me of what my goals were when I was that age, working in the movie theater, and we were always sitting around talking about we should be making a movie about working at the movie theater because I don't know if you saw.
What year was that?
90. I worked there from 92 to 99. So by the time we got to like 96, 97, we thought about all the people that have worked there. We thought about all the customer interactions and the projection booth stories and the employee, like all that stuff.
I was just trying to place where your thought process was before or after this came out.
I didn't see this when it came out.
Did this inspire you to think that?
Well, no, I don't think so. I don't remember. I think probably I saw this movie. Maybe I did see it before I started working at the theater. No, because I was working at the theater when this came out. So, yeah, maybe it did inspire me to think that. But obviously, we had way more interactions with way more employees than these two did. Like,
right.
We're talking like 35, 40 people that worked there.
Right.
So there was just so many stories, and we were just like, oh my God, we should be writing this shit down. And even to this day, I stand with Ron, and we talk about the old times and the old managers and all that stuff. So I completely respect what he did, and I wish I could have done it because there are so many stories to tell from, and like Dan said, when he worked at the convenience store, there's so many things that happen that you definitely want to show people. But then everybody knows it because most people have worked with at least 4 or 5 different characters that you've watched in this movie. But I don't know.
Sure.
One day.
Reminded me of when I was working at a liquor store.
Oh,
Very similar.
Back in college, yeah.
First time you have to get somebody like I'm not a drinker. The pint, is that the size that you buy liquor in? Half pint. First time somebody asked me to get them a pint of bumpy face. And I looked at him with like the widest eyes, like, I'm not qualified for this job.
Yeah, well, alcohol was my passion at that time. So that's what I pursued.
I mean, go for it, man.
You got to have goals.
That's an industry that you can make money in, man. You ought to follow that passion.
No, I actually, I mean, I'm not really kidding. I learned a lot in that industry. I do know a fair bit about wine. I know a fair bit about spirits, whiskey and scotch and whatnot. And
now the ones in the sky or just the earthbound ones?
The
bottle bound ones.
Yeah, the ones. Yeah, they catch in a bottle.
You just got green bound.
And then I became a bartender at some point. Put my knowledge to good use. Bartending weddings was fun. Sitting behind that bar after towards the end of the night. It was very much like a Dante feel.
Now you got my wheels turning. I'm going to rewatch the movie first of all.
That's me making a breakthrough.
I'm gonna pick.
You're gonna pick which scenes you're gonna redo. You're gonna reach out to your friends. You're gonna tell them that you don't have a budget.
Yep.
And that you're gonna
pay them in sandwiches.
Yeah. Sounds good. Wawa sandwiches.
Hey, you could pay them in exposure.
In exposure.
That's great because my rent is exactly 500 exposures a month.
And 37 blowjobs. 38.
Are you willing to give it a second viewing? Not even a second chance. Just a second look. Now that you've had, give it a couple of days to really let it ferment, right? That's an alcohol term. Let it ferment in your craft brewing. I'm really not an alcohol guy.
You can just yeah.
You let it sit in your brain for a little while. See if it ages. Quote it a couple of times by accident, and then watch it again, now with an expectation that it's going to be good words said dumbly.
Hey, who knows? I might go out into the world over the next few days, a few weeks, and realize that I am living in this movie. I don't know.
Dan, were you aware of the alternate ending of this movie?
I seem to remember there was like a Seinfeld-y kind of thing, but instead of going to jail, they all die. Is that a thing?
I actually have seen the video. The original ending was Dante being, after Randall leaves the store and throws the banner into the store, a customer comes in and pulls out a gun and shoots Dante dead.
Okay, yeah. I seem to remember there was like some finality to it.
Right.
But I don't know if I've ever seen it. It's probably on one of the special
And
editions.
you know what's great about that? He wasn't even supposed to be there.
Right.
He wasn't even supposed to be here. I
Sure.
use that line still at my current job, which is not,
Yeah.
thank goodness, in the convenience store industry. But anytime I should be anywhere else, I'm not even supposed to be here today. And my coworkers
what?
never understand where I'm
What's
coming
funny
from.
about that line, and I Fast Times at Richmond High, which hopefully George will see at some point, but the Judge Reinhold character, when he gets fired, and he's like, that better be a hell of a piss, Arnold. He like yells at him like it's like he got fired because of somebody else's actions. They had to go to the bathroom. So it's like with Dante, it's like I'm not even supposed to be here. Like that's been his catchphrase the whole time because everything that's happening he shouldn't be experiencing.
But you know what? Randall's right. Yeah. So why are you here?
Why are you here?
Yep.
It's funny.
Yep. He feels like he shouldn't have to be exposed to it, but he's his own exposer. It's his fault, man.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be exposed, don't be here.
Don't be a yes man.
So you mentioned earlier you didn't like that they mispronounced a word, and then I mispronounced the word mispronounce. So Travis, do you remember like what that? Do you have like a specific example of someone mispronouncing a word in this movie that really stuck in your craw?
I think George said that.
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah, George.
Oh, that was George.
Pointed that out, yeah.
Shoot.
That was me.
Well, what did they mispronounce, George?
I don't remember. I don't remember exactly, but it stuck out like a sore thumb.
Notes, brother. Notes.
I didn't. I mean, dude, like
Damn.
10 minutes into this movie, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not taking notes."
Oh, hurts my soul.
What's funny is I was gonna text Dan after I watched it. So I watched it Monday, and I paid money for it.
And for those of you listening, today is Thursday.
Today's Thursday.
Okay.
Right. So normally I watch it the day before we do this, or the day of. So I had a few days to think about it. I was like, I don't think George is gonna like this movie. Based on
I knew George wasn't gonna like this one.
I just had a feeling because based on what we went through with RoboCop, I was like, okay, this is he's not gonna like this. And I was gonna text you today and be like, are you sure you want to do this movie?
I'm glad you didn't.
No, I'm glad I didn't either. So
I'm glad you didn't.
Well, and I bring it up, George. I bring up the mispronunciation thing only because when you mentioned that, I had this like PTSD, Slaughterhouse-5 flashback to the movie Fired Up, which is a throwaway garbage movie. If you haven't seen it, it's two guys that like they don't go to football camp because they want to like hook up with a bunch of chicks, so they go to cheerleader camp.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
and their
sounds good
heart's
to me.
not really in it, but their dicks will be.
Hey now.
Whoa.
Hey now.
Anyway, at some point they use the word Schwanz, right, which is the German slang for penis.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But between the on-set crew and the director, no one, I guess, was a German student, and so they say swans, which is not the right word.
No.
It's a plural of swan.
And it's like it's the focus of a joke, and it's just like,
Yeah.
did nobody? Hold on, guys. Can we? What? Oh.
And it fell flat probably because
Yeah, it's a sucky. It's a funny joke if you say it right.
Yep.
So in that way, I understand. But I just, Clerks, I just like too much the way it is. Like, I don't want to fix it because its imperfections make it better.
No, I get that. There's plenty of independent films where I watch it. I'm like, ooh, but I just love this movie.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying, Dan. What you did bring me around a bit. I do understand now that the guy spent less than $30,000 making it, and it was all his own money, and it was all his own baby, and you asked me, could I make a better movie? No. So, so I get that. I can forgive a lot because of that. But also what really resonated with me was your comparison to Bob Dylan. That the content, the jokes were really funny. And I actually think the character development was pretty good. Was pretty on point. Like with the dialogue. If you take the acting out of the equation and just the words, I actually do think it's good. And it's like Bob Dylan. He's a terrible singer. He's not a great performer, but he does write some of the best
I think
songs.
when I say character development, it's getting misunderstood. I'm not talking about the film's ability to create to create a character. I'm talking about the actor's ability to develop.
No. I understand
Right.
that.
So when I say
understand
that, the development's there, but to me, the acting's not. So
Yes.
when you're
I
supposed
agree.
to develop a character, you're supposed to say, okay, this is my line. This is my situation.
What
in
I'm
the
saying
play.
is, the writing actually developed the characters
it's definitely
well.
there. It's definitely
Yes.
there. Yeah.
So I've come around a bit. I'll probably watch it. I'll probably watch this again, and I'll definitely watch Clerks 2 because you told me to.
Oh, it's so good.
But
So
no, I'm actually
good.
curious about Clerks 2, and I'm curious to see how much better they get with bigger budgets and better actors.
Well,
So-
you would have to see like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and also
Mhm.
that's where they have like $30 million budget, and they're like really kicking ass with millions of cameos, and it's more like Wayne's World, where they're
Yeah.
just like these two characters in this big world.
Yeah.
So,
But if you
would probably
skip
like
straight to Clerks 2, it'll be such a jarring that, his development has been
Over a decade.
10, 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be such a jarring thing. It might actually create a better impression going straight from 1 to 2 and just not seeing the process to get him there and just being like, damn, this guy really progressed.
Well, I'm gonna do whatever you guys tell me to do. But
Clerks
but-
2, that's what I say.
Okay. But you definitely, I've come around.
Okay.
You guys did
Look
an
at
okay.
you.
You guys did an okay job.
I feel like my work here is almost done.
You
Ooh,
brought
but
him
one
around
more.
on another one.
But another Schwann's joke that you guys might enjoy. I don't know. Do you guys like Schwann's jokes like I do?
I'm open-minded.
Okay, so there is a giallo from 1971 called The Case of the Scorpion's Tail,
Of course, it's a job.
directed by Sergio Martino, one of his earliest giallos, maybe
Okay.
his earliest. I have to go back and look at the timeline, but it's real early. It's fantastic. It's post-Bird, which for the nerds, they know what that means. And it's got Anita Strindberg in it, which, again, the nerds are all about George Hilton and Anita Strindberg. In fact, if I just told you those two names and you were a giallo nerd, you'd watch this movie. You'd be like, oh, I'm in, because
Okay.
George Hilton and Anita Strindberg. Anyway,
Okay, Schwanz.
guys, one of the alternate titles for this movie in German. All right. This is just, I just saw this the other day and it made me so happy. It's the tale of the scorpions, okay? Instead of the case of the scorpion's tail. So it's der Schwanz des Skorpions. So it's the dick of the scorpions. I mean, it's not. If you were German, you'd realize that it was referring to an actual tail and not a dong, I assume.
Right, gotcha.
But, like, on the face of it, that movie is called The Dick of the Scorpion.
For you, it is anyway.
It makes me so happy.
I
It's
love
a
it.
hell of a movie for our listeners that want to get their toe into the giallo. It's a good intro to the format. It's not too sleazy and it's not too boring, and it's, got some good acting.
May
Cool
the Schwanz
locations.
be with you.
That's
So
what
the
I think.
ki-
I think of the Schwanz.
Schwanz, the Schwartz.
It's all about that Schwanz.
Or it's the Schwartz.
It's the Schwartz.
The Schwartz.
Yeah.
That's what I think of the Schwartz.
Forget the Schwartz. It's the Schwanz.
I think yogurt's a Schwanz. I think he does it in Yiddish. I think he says Schwanz.
Yeah.
And the rest say
Yeah,
Schwartz
yeah.
because they can't pronounce it right.
So, George,
Yes.
I'm really proud of you for coming around, man. I feel like Travis and I are doing good work, even if Travis tried to sabotage me at every turn with this movie. But
I can tell that this is very fulfilling for you, Dan.
it's so good.
I
It's,
didn't try to do anything.
if we weren't under quarantine, this is one that I would have watched with you the first time, because it's such a fun watch. It's such a fun first time watch with people, because it's just you don't know what to expect with a movie like this. But I guess we have to assign you a new movie.
Yes, please.
Okay. So this week is a near and dear movie to me. Stand By Me. Have you seen that?
Nope.
No.
Not a clue.
Do you have any
Zero.
idea? Zero.
Nothing.
Okay. That's good.
Do you know the
Cool.
song? Have you heard the song before?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I
figured.
know the
it's
song.
on that Weezer CD, so I knew it. If you missed it in the 50s. then-
No, I was playing a punk version of Stand By Me in the late 90s. So,
Nice.
It's a period piece, so
yeah, but
it's
I
not
don't
black and white.
I don't know anything about about the movie.
Okay, good.
I didn't even know that the song and the movie were connected.
I don't think they have anything really to do with each other,
Oh, okay.
as far as I know.
Okay, so they're not connected.
I mean, the night does come, and the land does get dark. And
Right.
I'm sure at some point the
There's a
moon
moon.
might be the only light they see.
That's true.
Mm.
Yeah.
But they won't be afraid, and neither will you when you watch this wonderful movie.
Very good.
It's beautiful.
Very good.
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to see you back here next week. Thanks for joining us again. As always, you can find the Remedial Film Class podcast online at all kinds of social media junctures. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at @RemedialFilmPod. You can find us at facebook.com/RemedialFilmPod. And if you want to email us, hit us up at remedialfilmpod@gmail.com.
Hey kids, it's me, Kevin Smith. Checking in here just to clear up an issue between the two co-hosts of the Remedial Film podcast. Dan and Travis are friends going way far back. I don't want my first film to come between them. So Travis recently, said that he could remake Clerks. And I'm supposed to lay a smack down and say, that's impossible. It's a cinema classic. It's in the, preserved by the National Film Archives in the Library of Congress. So just bragging at this point. But no, I don't feel defensive about that at all. Look, Clerks is itself a remake of my life. It actually was how I lived. When I watch Clerks, not only do I see like, oh my God, the smartest thing I ever did because it gave me an entire career, one that Travis thinks he can emulate. Good luck. But more importantly, I look at the story of my life. That's the way I lived. I worked at that store. I got up, came in, sometimes we played hockey. Jay was around. So, it was already a remake, far more interesting version of my real life. So if I could remake Clerks, you can remake Clerks. Anybody can remake Clerks, man. I wouldn't suggest doing it in a convenience store. Most of those are run by fucking robots at this point. But it's a workplace comedy, and, you could emulate that everywhere. Anybody hates their job, mostly, except me now. I love my job now. My job is to be Kevin Smith for a living. Woohoo! But so I dig that job. But most people can't stand their jobs, and so that's where workplace comedy comes from. So if you've had a job that blows, you can remake Clerks. Just don't call it Clerks. But same thing. You're at your job, and everyone is doing everything humanly possible to not work. Talk about everything else under the sun but work and stuff like that. But work. That could be the name of Travis's movie. But work. I did my piece on working in convenience stores. But work. Travis, that's your Clerks. I'd be happy to watch it. Sounds interesting. Sounds like a good use of budget. And sounds hot. Sounds damn hot, man. So I don't want the hosts of the Remedial Film podcast to be at each other's throats over this searing important Clerks issue. There's the fucking Snyder cut, what Nolan said about HBO Max, and then this issue in entertainment. And it's Dan and Travis having friction. No need. Don't ever fight over Kevin Smith. Even Kevin Smith wouldn't fight over fucking Kevin Smith. Clerks is whatever it needs to be for whoever's watching it at that particular moment in time. So, fucking either you're a Travis who looks at Clerks and is like, I could do that, which is awesome. I looked at Slacker and was like, I could do that, and that's where Clerks came from. Or you're a Dan who realizes that once in a generation, cinema classic is born from an outlier, an an outsider, if you will. In any event, you're both right, kids. That's coming from me, Kevin Smith. And look, I got to be some kind of professional director. They gave me my own pop, for heaven's sakes.